Have you ever noticed how the older we get, the quieter life becomes, yet somehow that quiet feels richer, softer, and strangely comforting? It's not an accident. It's not loneliness. It's wisdom settling into your bones. When you reach your 70s and beyond, happiness isn't measured by how many people surround you, but by who truly deserves to stay close. By this stage of life, you've given decades of your time, your patience, and your heart to others' family, friends, co-workers, neighbors. You spent years putting everyone else first. But this chapter isn't about carrying the world anymore. This is the season where your peace is worth more than social obligations, and your calm is more precious than keeping everyone happy. What many people don't realize until later in life is that not all long-term relationships are good for your spirit. Some connections you maintain for 30, 40, even 50 years have slowly become draining without you noticing. They may have been meaningful once, but now add stress, guilt, or emotional heaviness you no longer need to drag behind you. So today, we talk about the 5 types of relationships you must release gently after 70, not out of anger or bitterness, but out of love for yourself. Because self-respect is not selfishness. Protecting your peace is not cruelty. You've earned the right to choose serenity over obligation. Let's start with one that hurts the most because it often hides in plain sight. Relationship number 1. The one-sided attachment. Everyone has that one person who seems to remember you only when they need a favor. They call when they want help, a listening ear, emotional support, or even financial assistance, but when you need someone to lean on, they are suddenly too busy, too tired, or simply nowhere to be found. At 70 plus, this imbalance feels heavier than ever. A relationship where one person always takes and the other always gives creates quiet exhaustion. You may think, but I've known them forever. But time alone does not make a relationship meaningful, effort does. You deserve a connection where support goes both ways. A relationship where your presence is valued, not used. Letting go doesn't require drama or confrontation. You can simply invest less emotional weight, take a step back, and redirect your time toward people who leave you feeling appreciated, not emptied. So ask yourself, who leaves you tired after every interaction? Who drains your emotional energy without giving anything back? Maybe this is the season to loosen your grip gently, calmly, respectfully. But one-sided relationships aren't the only ones stealing your peace. There's another type, quieter but just as damaging, that can darken even the brightest day. And that's what we uncover. And as we move deeper into our 70s, emotional balance becomes just as important as physical health, sometimes even more. Your heart, mind, and spirit carry decades of memories, experiences, and lessons. And at this age, one thing becomes very clear. Your peace is your lifeline. That's why the second relationship you must learn to release is the one that suffocates your joy with constant negativity. We all know someone who walks into a room and immediately turns the mood heavy. Someone who always finds something wrong, no matter how small, no matter how beautiful the moment might be. They complain about the weather, criticize the neighbors, comment on politics nonstop, judge other people's choices, and highlight everything that's wrong instead of appreciating what's right. In your 30s or 40s, you might have been able to brush it off. But at 70, this kind of energy drains more than your mood, it drains your health. Science shows that constant negativity raises stress hormones, weakens the immune system, and increases blood pressure. And at this stage of life, that emotional toll turns into physical weight. You deserve mornings that feel calm, afternoons filled with simple joys, evenings where your heart rests peacefully. But negative people sneak in like a slow storm until you find your mind cloudy even after they leave. What makes this tricky is that negative people often don't realize the impact they have. Some complain out of habit, some because they feel lonely, and some because they've never learned how to see the good in life. You can still care for them, you just don't need to sacrifice your mental health to carry their emotional storms. So, how do you distance yourself without feeling guilty? You create gentle limits, shorter conversations, less frequent visits, more boundary phrases like, "I'm not in the mood for heavy topics today. Let's talk about something positive," or even, I need a little space today. You're not being rude. You're being protective of your serenity, something you've earned through decades of living, learning, and giving. Fill your days with people who appreciate small joys, a good cup of tea, an unexpected call, a warm memory, a beautiful morning. Surround yourself with voices that remind you life is still soft, still kind, still worth smiling about. Ask yourself honestly, who leaves you feeling lighter? And who leaves you feeling emotionally exhausted? Your answer will tell you exactly where to gently shift your time and energy. But negativity isn't the only silent thief of peace. There's a deeper, more painful kind of relationship, one that often comes from inside the family, that quietly controls your choices. And that is exactly what we uncover. Now we arrive at one of the most emotionally complicated relationships of all, the kind that comes wrapped in family ties, shared history, and a lifetime of expectation. This one isn't loud like negativity, and it isn't obvious like one-sided friendships. Instead, it moves quietly, slipping into your heart through guilt, obligation, and emotional pressure. We're talking about the manipulative family relationship, a bond that should bring love and support, but instead brings stress, guilt, and emotional exhaustion. As you grow older, you start noticing patterns you once ignored. Maybe it's a child, a sibling, or even a distant relative who constantly makes you feel like you're not doing enough. They might say things like, "You never call me. After everything I've done for you? You care about your friends more than your family. Why can't you just do this one small thing for me?" These statements may not sound harsh on the surface, but they carry heavy emotional weight, the weight of guilt. And guilt, when used as a tool, becomes manipulation. At 70 plus, your emotional energy is precious. You shouldn't be pressured into doing things just to avoid someone's irritation, anger, or disappointment. Genuine love never demands loyalty through guilt. True family does not use emotional leverage to control your choices. But here's the truth many seniors avoid admitting. It's okay to set boundaries, even with your own family. Boundaries are not punishments. They are protections, gentle gates that allow peace to enter and keep unnecessary stress out. You can still love someone deeply while saying, "I can't do this right now. I need some space. I won't be pressured into decisions." Or simply, no. A simple no has more power at this age than you may realize. It represents self-respect, emotional maturity, and the wisdom to protect your heart. The guilt-driven family relationship often feels like debt, but you owe no one your peace. You've spent your life giving, nurturing, supporting, and showing up for others. Now, in this chapter, you are allowed to put your well-being first. Ask yourself honestly, do you ever agree to things only to avoid conflict? Do you feel drained after certain family interactions? Do you feel obligated instead of appreciated? These signs tell you when it's time to step back, calmly, kindly, confidently. Remember, distance doesn't mean disrespect. It simply means you refuse to let guilt dictate your life. But emotional pressure isn't the only kind of relationship that steals your peace. There's another social trap, deceptively small, often ignored, that slowly poisons your inner calm. And that's what we unravel in. I regret not spending more time with my parents. If only I had chosen differently. But here's the truth. The past is not a prison. If there is a memory that still hurts, maybe today is the day to loosen your grip. Take a deep breath and tell yourself gently, I cannot rewrite yesterday, but I can choose peace today. You deserve to wake up without emotional weight. You deserve to enjoy life without feeling tied to old mistakes. And you deserve a heart that feels light again. Ask yourself honestly, is there something you're still carrying that no longer belongs in your life? Maybe today is the day to set it down, softly, kindly, and permanently. So as you move into this chapter of life, let go of the 5 bonds that steal your peace, the one-sided relationships, the constant negativity, the guilt-driven family ties, the gossip circles, and the painful past.